All right, good morning and welcome to Talk Sports on Global Television. Time for us to look at all the exciting stories and news making the rounds in the different shades of sport we've got. My name is Anthony Momodu, the King of Sport, and I'm ready with the big stories making the rounds. We'll be looking at AFCON 2025 qualifiers, Nigeria, Libya, the aftermath of that 1-0 victory by the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Already we know that Austin Eguavon, Cerezo, you call him, has said that Nigerians should not worry. The fact that one man, Victor Boniface, is still firing blanks despite scoring great goals in the Bundesliga. We'll be looking at the aftermath of that match and other matches across Africa. The Black Stars of Ghana also in action. We'll also be looking at stories concerning the Ballon d'Or organizers announcing a new rule for the winner. And we'll be looking at Cristiano Ronaldo, CR7, you call him. He's still on fire. He scored over the weekend at the Nations Cup League, meaning that he had chalked up 133 goals plus for Portugal against Poland. He saw the back of the net. We'll also be focusing on Mauricio Pochettino, who got his first win as a coach of the United States of America. I'll be looking at if that's a good sign that he's going to succeed with the American national team. We'll also be looking at Joe Matip, who plays for Liverpool, but he's from the Cameroon. He plays for the Indomitable Lions of Cameroon. He's retiring at the age of 33. A lot of errors during his career. I'll also be looking at the very sad commentary that played out after Nigeria took on Libya, talking about the Mediterranean night, where 3 were killed and 1 missing in Anambra journalist kidnap. That's a very sad commentary there. Then big interesting story is that coming from Turkey is that Nigeria Super Eagles at number 9 has returned back from injury. His name, Victor Osimhen, slight training. That's good news for the Super Eagles of Nigeria and also Galatasaray of Turkey. All right, I will be also be looking at other issues concerning Samuel Omorodion, who has cried out how he suffered every night crying when he couldn't get it right at Atletico Madrid. All right, we'll also be looking at NFF giving the clubs ultimatums to resolve issues with their players, talking about sign-on fees and salaries owed various clubs. NFF giving that ultimatum. We'll also be casting a searchlight on Ola Aina, who plays the left foot back for the Super Eagles of Nigeria. He's currently right fullback, I beg your pardon, is currently being wanted by AS Roma. So we'll be looking at all these big stories, and also we'll be taking you to England, where the 3 Lions of England did whip Finland by 3-1, but the coach not certain of his future. These are some of the very interesting talking points we'll be looking at on today's edition. But let's just kickstart a little in the next 10-15 minutes. 10 minutes, I'll be joined by my guest in the person of Etimbok, who will be helping us do the analysis of all the big stories making the rounds. But just to let you know that after the chaos of their defeat to Greece, England restored some sort of order on the pitch with a 3-1 Nations League win over Finland in the Olympic Stadium. The tie was mainly played in the grey, but was memorable for the vivid thunderbolt of a free kick from Trent Alexander-Arnold. Off the pitch, though, confusion still reigns. The build-up to the game was overshadowed by increased uncertainty about whether interim coach Lee Castley, the FA's preferred choice to become the permanent successor to Gareth Southgate, even wants the job. A win is a win, but it feels now as if England have entered a period of inertia and drift, either until Castley clarifies his intentions or the FA appoints a new permanent manager to take over from him after the final Nations League games against Greece and the Republic of Ireland next month. After the failed experiment on view in the Greece games, Castley adopted a more conservative approach this time and was rewarded with a decent performances by Angel Gomez and Jack Grealish in particular. Talking about the Three Lions. All right, still looking at the Three Lions, let's let you know that Lee Castley intensified the confusion over whether he wants the England job on permanent basis after Sunday night's convincing victory over Finland. England returned to winning ways following their Thursday's loss to Greece, thanks to goals from Jack Grealish, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Declan Rice in Helsinki on Sunday. But Castley once again raised uncertainty over his desire to be appointed the next full-time England head coach. All right, so that's some of the big stories, and we've got still talking about who's going to become the next permanent manager of the Three Lions. Roy Keane has something to say. Roy Keane has said he has to say as regards who should be appointed the permanent manager of England after the 3-1 win over Finland. And after the humiliating defeat against Greece in midweek, Lee Castley was tasked with provoking a reaction out of his side in the latest Nations League fixture. The interim boss continued to be bold in his selections, with Declan Henderson handed the first cap in 4 years, and Trent Alexander-Arnold deployed a left back for the first time in his career with a more conventional setup. England cruised to victory at the Olympic Stadium with goals from Jack Grealish, Declan Rice, either side of the sublime set piece from Liverpool's defender. And despite returning to winning ways, the question of who will succeed Gareth Southgate as the Three Lions' next permanent manager continues to loom large over the team. Speaking on punditry, Keane says England should go for Pep Guardiola, whose contract will be over in the summer. So do you agree with Roy Keane? Should Pep Guardiola be the man the Three Lions should be looking for, and would he agree to coach England? It's going to be a very tall task for them to get Pep Guardiola on one hand, and secondly, it's going to be a very huge job for Pep Guardiola because the attention is going to be killing. All right, let's look at other stories. Pep Guardiola is in the news this morning. Pep Guardiola has spoken out on his future at Manchester City ahead of making a huge call on his managerial future. Guardiola, who has enjoyed much success since being appointed as City boss in 2016, sees his current contract expire at the end of the season. Meanwhile, Roy Keane has suggested that Guardiola should be the next England manager, with the FA yet to appoint a permanent successor to Gareth Southgate. There remains much uncertainty regarding whether Guardiola will remain in charge of City. During his time in City, as City manager, Guardiola won 6 Premier League titles, the Champions League, 2 FA Cups, and 4 League Cups. City are currently in the second place in the Premier League, 1 point behind leaders Liverpool, and Keane had claimed that the FA should look to appoint Guardiola after interim boss Lee Castley initially appeared to rule himself out of contention for being the permanent successor to Gareth Southgate. All right, let's go for a quick break. When we return from this break, hopefully my guest team will be joining me in the studio as we look at very interesting talking points making the rounds. Stay with us.
Time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Oh, that goal! Beautiful work from the wingers! Get a shot in. Squares
It's time for sports' biggest moments on global television. The headlines, scores, breaking news, and commentaries on sporty events. Talking with the biggest players, strikers, and about the slam dunks and goals, stunning saves, near misses, and upsets. Let's talk about the greatest home runs, comebacks, knockdowns, and victories. Talk sports with the king of sports, Anthony Momodu. Weekdays, 10 a.m. Don't miss out.
Oh, that goal! Beautiful work!
All right, welcome back from the break. That's what you get on the live program. We still talk sport on Global Television, and we're dotting all the I's and crossing the T's to give you all the big stories making the round. I did promise you that my guest will be joining me in the studios, but before I introduce my guest, let me give you one more hot story just dropping on Hot Talk Sport. According to sources close to Club Panathinaikos in Greece, may well honor the full contract of George Baldock following the tragic passing of their former Sheffield United player at the age of just 31. Baldock, an England-born Greece international, was found dead in a swimming pool of his house in Gilfather, southern Athens. He joined the Greek club Winners in the summer on a 3-year deal after making 219 appearances for the Blades, including 83 in the Premier League. Insiders say Panathinaikos is a club with strong value and compassionate owner, and add that Baldock's family, which includes a heartbroken fiancé and a 1-year-old son, will be looked after. One possibility will be to honor the full contract of the player in addition to staging a benefit match next year for the slain player. Very sad commentary there. All right, it's now time for me to introduce my guest. His name Etimboke Oboso. He is a sports analyst joining me in the live studios. Etimboke, thank you for making it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Tony.
All right, let's just before we delve into AFCON 2025, talking about Nigeria, Libya's match, let's look at this story that just went by, talking about Panathinaikos and one of their player who just was found dead in his room. The fact that the club is willing to see out his 3-year contract, regardless of the fact that he's late, that should be a very good one by Panathinaikos, and an example for clubs to follow.
Yeah, of course. You know, one thing about football is you're showing a spirit of sportsmanship and, of course, support each other. So it's quite interesting for the club to, you know, show much interest, even when they are not going to earn that physical value that the player Baldock has been giving to them in the past. But of course, it shows a good impression. Of course, it's set apart for others to also follow, other football clubs to follow. You know, for them to extend the Baldock's contract, even when he's dating, when he's not going to play ball for them again in the remaining days of his contract, it means that they are really human, and that's a true spirit of sportsmanship. Yes.
All right, we saw a different case when Salah. Remember when Salah left the French club to go, sign for the English club, but died in the air crash.
Yeah.
And there were a dispute about the Swansea not agreeing to pay the French club, or the French club not agreeing to, settle because they said the player didn't even arrive and so died.
Well, definitely that's a different ball game. This one died while he was still in service and a running contract, whereas the other case study, yes, Salah's own, it was on a fence. It was in between.
They had already signed him. He was going to resume,
and he didn't start anything. You understand? So I think that's actually the difference. That's actually the difference between the two cases.
All right, let's move on. Let's get into the other talking point before we run into go back in time to AFCON. Looking at England, they lost against Greece in midweek and were able to bounce back against Finland, winning 3-1 away. And for the coach, Lee Carsley, do you think he's the right man to succeed Gareth Southgate, or are you support with what Roy Keane is saying, that Pep Guardiola should be the man?
Personally, when I'm approaching it from the perspective of being a coach, it's not easy to manage human and then imbibe in them what you want them to do, especially when it has to do with adults. So these are players, these are footballers that have undergone different mentorship from different coaches. So it takes a period of time for you to be able to let them know, for you to create that mental picture or what you actually want them to do. So I am always of the opinion that coaches should be given a period of time, a sustainable period of time, to build what they can build and then establish. After that, if they cannot achieve their goals, and then they can be discharged. So for now, I think we should give him time to be able to, stabilize it for now.
Is it fair on Carsley, because he had won the Under-17 European competition with the junior team, and also did win with the under-20s, and this is the national team. Do you think it's because he has not gotten that name in Europe, that's why the FA is lukewarm? Or do you think Guardiola, England deserves a coach with the pedigree of Guardiola to be their coach for them to succeed?
Well, be it as in Guardiola is actually a good coach, but for me, I think I'm still of the opinion, allow him, let him just go. He has that credence, he has that experience. Let him leverage his experience on the team for a period of time before we can now think of changing. It doesn't mean that we are holding the other Guardiola down. I don't think so.
All right, let's go back to enough of England now. Let's move forward to look at what played out over the weekend, where our darling Super Eagles were in action, which we still have the videos of the Super Eagles in action against Libya. But before we get that video ongoing, let's look at Nigeria-Libya 1-0 victory. Some have said 1-0 was a slim victory. We deserve to have scored more goals. Some say it's because Victor Osimhen wasn't in the team. That's why the Eagles could not fly. And for Victor Boniface, still yet to, score his first goal for the Super Eagles. Do you think what the coach said is that it's just pressure and it's a matter of time?
Well, yeah, I want to say that, thank God for the victory for Super Eagles. I understand that it's not easy to play without some of this, like Victor Osimhen, who was injured. You understand? But I think that Nigeria would have done better than that. They tried, but converting opportunities to goal was a major challenge with them. They had some good opportunities, but they were unable to still convert it to goal. You understand? And this would have been a wrong plethora for them to move on in the AFCON, rest if they weren't able to, pass through that stage. So I think it's very important Nigeria, the Nigerian team, Super Eagles, sit down and then re-strategize some things again. How can we make a better win without some stars like Victor Osimhen? Do you understand me? So, peradventure, Victor Osimhen wasn't in the squad, and then Lookman wasn't in the squad. How do we make a team, a formidable team that can be winning? So, to me, I feel like it's just that was a big lesson to the Super Eagles for them to step up, because it wasn't good enough, even when they escaped narrowly. It would have been more bad if they drew.
Okay, in terms of the coach now, it seemed like everybody has accepted also wants to be the permanent coach, even though he did give some conditions. He wants a longer contract. He wants assurance that he will get in the backing of NFF. Is he the right man for the job?
Well,
despite the victories we've gotten thus far.
It's often said that when the desirable is not available, the available becomes the desirable. At this point, I think he's trying to salvage the image of Super Eagles and also try to see how we can stay afloat for the upcoming competitions. But while he is there, I think it's important that the NFL looking into bringing in a sustainable coach that have a proper image, a proper vision, a super fantastic, a world practice coaching experience. That's what I want. I'm not saying that he is not doing well, but the level of Nigeria, the level of soccer, football in Nigeria has gone beyond or struggling in group matches, like struggling for a one win with Libya. Come on, Nigerian football has gone beyond that, and we need a world-class coach. Even if he's not, I'm also advising NFF that they should invest into coaching. This is a pivotal aspect of football in Nigeria. So they should invest, even if it's to ask government to sponsor young people to go into coaching, get the world-class experience, come back for the sake of Super Eagles, because tomorrow Super Eagles will still exist.
All right, let's move on. We're still looking at issues making the rounds. Let's move on to other issues in terms of world of sport. All right, from the Super Eagles, the issue of Victor Osimhen, yes, he missed the Super Eagles matches, but the good news is that he's back to training, light training, and he's been training alone. For Victor Osimhen, how important did we miss him? And do you think there's a lot of burden for him to also prove a point in Galatasaray? Yes, he's scoring the goals already, but how key would this towards the end of this year be for him, so that in January, because we hear that Chelsea is also pushing to sign him on with a £40 million bid. Do you think his performance, do you think he can get up to speed after recovering from this latest bout of injury?
Well, it's very important that we look into Victor Osimhen's case, because you can definitely see that in our match between Libya, with Libya, that gap was there. Converting opportunities to goal.
Okay, converting.
It was, yes.
Not making the chances.
Not just making chances. No matter what we play, yes, Nigerian team did a bit better. They did well, but we need a goal. We need a win. So, we lost a lot of opportunities. So I think that gap was there. Osimhen not being in the team was really visible for all to see.
But we see Victor Boniface score great goals in German Bundesliga. Do you think it's just the anxiety to score the first goal? That's what is happening. He cannot be great in the Bundesliga and not suddenly become a bad player when he comes to the Super Eagles.
Football has different patterns played in different regions. Yes, English Premier League, you see different patterns of football. Then you're also mitigating with different set of people coming down to, Nigeria here, African League. It's a different ball game entirely. But what makes a player outstanding is your ability to, to adapt to different regional footballs. So you go to England, you know how to fit yourself and then make yourself valuable in English football. And you come to Africa, you see how to fit in, you understand how it's done here. That's the difference between people like Ronaldo, people like Victor Osimhen, because they are able to mitigate, they are able to adapt to different football patterns. You understand? That's what makes a world-class player. So I think it's trying to get it up now. He's trying to get it up, and then he should learn fast, because you won't just play one. I always say that when it comes to Ronaldo and Messi, what makes Ronaldo a bit better than Messi is because Ronaldo has been able to test different set of footballs, different leagues. You understand? He has gone through, and yet he still stay. But staying one place doesn't help at all.
All right, we're glad to know that Victor Osimhen is back and with light training going on, and that's a good news for the Super Eagles and his team. All right, let's just still talking about other big stories making the rounds as we look at Nigerian players still abroad. Let's look at the man called Ola Aina, who is currently playing for Nottingham Forest in the English Premier League. He's been targeted by AS Roma of Italy, talking about the Serie A giant wanting Nigerians defensive star to make into the team. Let's look at Ola Aina being wanted by AS Roma. We know he played for Torino for some seasons before he came back to the English Premier League for Nottingham Forest. Do you think him moving back to Serie A will be a good thing for him, or he should stay put with Nottingham Forest, or probably get another team within the English Premier League rather than going back to Italy? Or for you, do you think Italy is the place for him to be, because he did really succeed?
I want to actually be very brief. Let him stay where he is for now.
Why?
Let him stay where he is for now, because when it comes to you moving, there should be a very renowned level of achievement you must have earn in your previous league. You don't leave a league because you couldn't achieve. Do you understand me? So if you couldn't achieve enough and you think that this is not a good place for you, and you go next to another league, it will be a deficiency when it comes to terms of reference in football. I'm speaking from the perspective of being a sport entrepreneur. This is what coaches look at. What was your previous achievement? Do you understand me? These are things we use to rate footballers. So I think it's very important it stays first. Get much achievement, so that when you're leaving, you know that you did a great job here. And even if you're provincial, you're going back, it will be a good welcome back than when your history is being checked or whatever, it is noticed that no, it wasn't good enough.
All right, that's the much we can take on that Nigerian player. Talking about Ola Aina, we'll go for another quick break. When we return from the break, we'll be looking at other stories making the rounds. We'll be looking at Erling Haaland, who's snubbed the journalist after his team, talking about his country, lost to Austria by 5-1. We'll be looking at why he decided to do that, and if he is a good loser or a bad one. We'll be looking at that and other stories after this break. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's still Talk Sport on the World Television. Still giving you all the big, exciting stories making the rounds. Let's take you to a very interesting talking point where Erling Haaland posted a social media apology after Norway were put to the sword by Austria on Sunday, with Captain Martin Odegaard still unavailable after suffering an injury during the last international break. Haaland was handed the armband as still side looked to continue the unbeaten start in the Nations League after Marko Arnautovic opened the scoring for the host. Norway responded well to Alexander Sørloth equalizing before halftime. However, once Arnautovic restored Austria's lead shortly after the interval, the visitors went into total collapse, and goals from Philippe Lienhart, Stevan Poch and Michael Grechgruch sealed a 5-1 victory. Following the game, Haaland was approached by members of the Norwegian press as he prepared to leave the Ralfsen Arena in Linz. Rather than face the music, the Manchester City star ignored their request for comment before later apologizing for his team's lackluster performance on social media. Let's look at that before we talk about CR7. This, I think it's common with great players. They don't like to lose, first of all. Then when they lose or when they're in bad shape, they don't want to talk to the press. But for Erling Haaland, the first time he's been handed the captaincy ban, was that the right move for him? He should talk to, even if he didn't talk to any other press, his country's press deserved to be spoken to.
Well, that was a wrong starting from him. Captainship in sports, in football, is a role of leadership. And
Sure.
then it's not just leadership to the team, it's also leadership expressed to others, the club as a whole, and even your country. So it wasn't that a sportman of him. It wasn't sportman enough for him to, ignore the praise. If not for any other thing, at least he would have, granted attention to the country or, best praise. So it wasn't sportman of him enough for him to do that. It shows indiscipline. Of course, I understand from the perspective of a footballer that being the first time he's being handed a ban, it was a wrong note for him to start with losing 5. That was a very big blow to him as a person, as a leader. So he felt like, I think he was still under the emotional trauma of losing. But what makes leaders, even in sport leadership, when you lose, you have to know that this actually can happen, and then you bury it and then do what you're supposed to do, in as much as football is concerned.
Do you think Erling Haaland is overhyped? Because when we see him in Man City, he's extraordinary. Do you think it's because he has great players playing around him? That's why he delivers. Because when he goes to the national team, or even when City meets some other bigger teams, he's missing in action. Do you think he's overhyped?
Well,
or overrated?
When you dine with the kings, you automatically can be called a king.
True.
But where you see yourself with the common people, the masses, you will also be seen as the masses. So, but it takes some high level of intelligence for you, to stand out. Why I'm saying so is still boiled down to what I said earlier, that it's possible for you to play English football very well, but coming down to African football, you find yourself disappointed, frustrated. So it takes understanding, your ability to, adapt to different football leagues, makes you a world-class footballer. So it's possible for Haaland to make things, make good name when it comes to Man City. But go to your home country, a different region of football, and play. You will know that you need people. So the teammates in Man City is very different from his country home. Very, very different. So you see, when they say football is a team sport.
Yeah, but we still have other players who have single-handedly carried their team, or seem to always come to the party, even if they do not have
Other players.
Along
with the
player, like even just tried to beat them 5-1. Anatovic was in the Premier League at the time, but he's only showing up in big games.
Yeah.
So would you consider Erling Haaland a total big a player that can carry his team? Though we saw a little bit of him in Borussia Dortmund.
Now, one thing matters. You can, the position Haaland plays makes him someone that is fed.
Okay.
So there are people that are being fed with balls. So they understand pattern of being fed. But your ability for you to also feed others matters in football. So if you're not exposed to that, you'll find it difficult to fit into some teams. And then secondly, you can be a good follower, but when it comes to leading others, you know that there are responsibilities, and it comes with weight. So that's what he's facing. He's not just playing football as a free man now. He's playing football as a leader. So he needs to ensure that this one works, this one delivers. So while he's thinking now, his mindset is not, I want to score. I want to do what I want to do myself. He's also looking at others doing, because he's now playing not by himself as a striker or whatever, but he's now also thinking of others delivering the attacks. So his mental, his psychology, psychologically is not playing alone. Now he's playing as the one leading others. So it's a different mindset. So for him to fit in this thing, it takes time. So you can see a captain is very different. That band doesn't just come by by decoration. It comes with so much responsibility from the mind.
Okay.
And also,
so technically, Martin Odegaard, despite being younger, is a better player in terms of.
Of course.
All right, let's leave Erling Haaland alone. Let's talk about the man CR7, talking about Cristiano Ronaldo, who did score in Portugal's recent win over Poland. Let's look at CR7. Many times we say CR7 is over, he's done with, but he's still scoring. He still wants to break more records. Do you see him hitting the 2,000 goal mark he has placed for himself? He's at 1,000 and plus now.
Well, I said earlier, last time I was here, I always say that Ronaldo is a magician. Ronaldo is a magician in soccer. The intention of the player matters more than what we think about him. Do you understand? There is this mindset we always have as maybe viewers, as fans. Oh, this person retired at this time, this one retired this time, I think he will also retire. But what is Ronaldo's mindset? When a man is set out to do something, you understand, he will always bring in new things. Ronaldo is training heavily. Check out his Instagram account. He trains every day to do what? To keep playing football. But we are thinking that it's going to retire. But it's not retiring for now. He needs to make sure he delivers what he wants. So his intention goes beyond our expectations in soccer. So that's why while he keeps growing now, we think that he's going to go down, but yet he still maintains.
Do you see him going to the next World Cup in 2026?
It's so unpredictable. So it's possible he can go.
Okay.
It's possible. And you know what? Play legends like this, living legends like this, will always make value. He's not just going by himself, he's going with his world of experience. So he might not physically deliver 100%, but him being in a team matters a lot to the opponent. To his own team. And it's, in short, indirectly intimidation to the opponent team.
All right, talking about CR7, Cristiano Ronaldo there. All right, we're still looking at very key issues. We got Mauricio Pochettino in the news this morning. The story that he won his first game for the U.S. as their coach. And also, not forgetting Joe Matip. In case you've forgotten him, he played for Liverpool and also plays for the indomitable Lions of Cameroon, but now he's retired at the age of 33. We remember many times where he scored very crucial goals for Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp was their manager, and also had many times where he conceded very funny goals that put Liverpool in a very tight corner. But let's look at Mauricio Pochettino, first win for US as a manager. Do you think he's going to have fun coaching the United States of American team, and the fact that he might not be under as much pressure as he would be if he was coaching Paris Saint-Germain and when he coached Chelsea?
Well, it's definitely going to do well. Looking into his experience, he definitely, I just want to be brief, is definitely going to do well. To me, I've looked at his experience. He has been performing very well in the past time, and then him coming in, I think it's a good choice, a good decision for him, to go to USC, and definitely it's going to do well.
Okay, wrapping it up in terms of just last week we had NFF giving Nigerian club sides ultimatum time frame to resolve owing of salaries of players, sign-on fees, and getting their stadiums and certain things put in check. Do you think it's still sad news that we're still talking about club sides owing players, club sides not doing what they're supposed to do in terms of making sure that grounds, in terms of stadia, is in shape and all that?
Well, I can't say it's a setback in the football development.
Because we see the English Premier League, we see the South African League, their stadium is top notch. We don't hear about players being old. We don't hear about certain ranklings.
So I think it's just a setback. It's a setback in the football development in Nigeria. And then it also, how do I put it? It's also a clear indication that Nigerian football needs good investors.
You're an entrepreneur. Why is it hard getting investors as a sports entrepreneur? How difficult? What are the major challenges?
Well, Nigeria is different from other countries. There are no legit running systems that does that. If you go to US, you see a standing sports sponsors, that are ready to sponsor in as much as you have genuine ideas, genuine intentions, and then it's workable, But here in Nigeria, we don't have industries. Nigerian government is the only source that everybody looks up to. But there is no, there is no a real sport organization or companies, industries that understand that football is one of the base market to invest into. People like what do you call this man that invested in football? Most of them invest for their personal interest. They don't go.
Are you talking about they invested in Manchester United recently? Are you talking about Sir Jim Ratcliffe?
Yes, you understand. So he channeled his wealth into investing in football. You understand? So these are things that people don't understand, especially in Nigeria. And of course, the Nigerian terrain, it takes a lot of research for you to trust someone when it comes to Nigeria. A lot of things happening in Nigeria. So I think it's we need to run a proper sanity in the Nigerian football and sport as entirely to see how we can attract investors, to see how people can come in and invest in sport instead of trying to be, sport ownership. A lot of people I want to own a sport company, but you know what? They might not have the qualified personnel to run it for them. And you see the money goes in and they sunk in the money and it goes. But another aspect is if there are good sponsors to sports, and then there are qualified personnel that are ready to know that this is for the future of Nigeria, for the development of sport in the country, it will go a long way to develop sport and optimize sports participation and experience.
All right, that's how we're going to call it a wrap on today's edition of the program Talk Sport. I want to say a big thank you to Timbok Oboso, who is a sports analyst and also entrepreneur, and for joining me on TalkSport this morning as we looked at all the interesting talking points concerning football, the Ballon d'Or, and also the fact Nigerian players being wanted across the globe, and Victor Osimhen coming back to shape, and the Three Lions of England also coming back with a 3-1 victory over Finland. My name is Anthony Momodi saying thank you for joining me on today's edition of the program, Talk Sports.